Today, I'm joined by Chip Collins with the Collins Group Realty CGR. Listen, this is what's kind of fun for me is I get to spend some time with a buddy of mine that really, I don't just love the amount of business you do, Chip. I love the way you do the business. We're going to drop some information on you guys on not only how you can increase your business, but how you can make a direct impact on your community. Let's get to it. All right, Chip, I really appreciate you taking the time as we're recording this, getting ready for Christmas time. I know you got a lot of family in town, a lot of things going on. So I really appreciate you taking the time really to dive into some of these things. Listen, if somebody doesn't know you, can you share with them a little bit of your background and kind of where you are located wise?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And Merry Christmas to you and everybody else that might be listening in on this. I live in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina marketplace. I've been down here for close to 30 years. Actually grew up vacationing here out of Ohio, which I don't know about you down in your marketplace. I know there must be major feeder markets into your area. And for Hilton Head, it's Ohio, to the point where everybody down in Hilton Head makes fun of that connection. And so when you say you're from Ohio, people are like, oh, of course you're from Ohio. You know, everybody's from Ohio. In fact, Ohio is spelled O-H-I-O. And one of my first marketing efforts when I got started in this business about 28 years ago was creating those Euro car stickers. Yeah. And I spelled Ohio O-H-H-I-O, and H-H-I stands for Hilton Head Island. And it was such a big hit that actually Euro stickers took it over and started marketing and all that kind of stuff. But that's where I grew up. That's where we started coming down here just when I was a kid. And I tried DC for about a year out of school. I went to Denison University up in Ohio, and I tried DC, and that's big city just wasn't for me, too transient and all that kind of stuff. And so I came down here, and I met my wife down here and started my business down here. And we've had our two daughters here, and we started and built up a team that's been, gosh, I guess next year the team will be, company will be 19 years old. And we got up to 30 people so far now in the group. And life's good, man. It's a really neat area of the country. We call it the Low Country. So we cover Hilton Head Island, Bluffton, and Buford, which basically means we cover all of Beaufort County, which is just south of Charleston, South Carolina, where you and I have spent some time together up there, putting some ideas together and building our businesses together. So that's pretty much our gig, and that's what we're up to.
That's great. Give us a little bit of an idea so that people kind of understand size. I mean, you mentioned the size of the team. What about transaction numbers, kind of those kind of things that you guys are doing?
Well, it just like anything, man, it's grown over time. We're absolutely quality driven, not quantity. So to get to 30 people, as I say, soaking wet, that includes my wife, who's our director of interiors, and she does work with our clients that want to do interior design work after they purchase. Right. My father, who's been our business management consultant, that was his career. He's retired, lives here in Hilton Head. So he works with me part-time and helps kind of be a great sounding board for what we're up to, et cetera. And I've got a client for life coordinator that works part-time, used to be my closings manager. And so she does all that post-closing follow-up. That's been half the fun is building and creating positions that we've never heard of before, and just plugging people in where they are passionate about adding value and being involved in the mission of what the company's all about. And so within that 30 people, there's really only 15 producing agents. Last year we did about 340 units for 143 million. That was our best year until 2020, and COVID hit. And just like your marketplace and everywhere else around the country, we've had this explosive nature of the market. And Jimmy, man, I can't even believe it, but we'll probably hit close to 400 units this year for, it's probably going to inch towards 210 million. So it's I say that with absolute humility. I don't even know if that's repeatable. Right. And it's been a crazy, just like everybody I know in real estate. And I'm sure if we were all together, I'd say, raise your hand if you worked harder than you ever have in 2020. And I know you are, so it was quite something, buckle your seatbelt kind of year, but we're super proud of it. And doing that all while we worked virtually. was just pretty amazing. And some of the stuff that happened internally, my director of operations in particular, and how she created the environment, and how we were so focused on culture and keeping everybody connected when we weren't physically together. When the meetings were challenging to do it, we're all doing that sort of 2D Zoom stuff that, it's such a huge difference. 2D Zoom is fine, but person to person is 5D, man. It's the 3D. And then you get the facial expressions, and you can pick up the vibe, and then you got the energy that happens when people are together, and there's no replacement for that. So I'm super proud of how we were able to hold together and grow a little bit. We added a team member, basically built out our concierge department this year, and added a client concierge. And we had another agent this year as well. So it was a pretty good year for us.
Chip, this is, I mean, you and I both, we talk to a lot of people all over the country. In my opinion, you guys probably do the best of just staying focused on your true mission, which is helping people and really making an impact in your community. How did that start? And then I want to get into some specifics, because listen, not everybody's got a 30-person team, but the thing is that I try to tell agents is you can make an impact in your community just by taking action. But how did it all really get started with that culture of focusing on adding value to the community?
Well, I appreciate that. And that is something that really is a big part of our internal culture. And what's so cool about having a team, and the bigger it gets, the less it's about me and the more it's about the entity and what it's become. And the driver is less me and more about who's on the team and what's important to them. And so as we've grown, community service is just huge. In the Hilton Head area, it's just got an amazing population of primary residents, retirees, and second homeowners, and all that kind of stuff. And people are just very civic oriented. And so there's just a ton of local organizations where you can volunteer your time and your resources, your talent, your treasure. And so we just really tapped into that early on. And I know you and I really shared, I think, a lot unwittingly at the same time from our late and great friend Howard Britton. And with all those star power years, and they introduced the idea of having a moving truck. And I remember being so intimidated by seeing these huge teams that had so much volume, and they had all these moving trucks. And I was like, man, nobody around here is going to move themselves. I was like, wait, ain't nobody going to pick up, and move their 4,000 square foot house in a 15-foot box truck. They just don't do that around here. But I was like, I really like the idea of the moving truck. So we bought the moving van. We still have it. We have two now, but our first moving van, I still have it 20 years later. And we call it the community vehicle. And because what we found was that local organizations, they're the ones that need the truck. It's kind of the motto is like, everybody needs a truck now and again, but nobody wants to own one, so it's like, we'll do that, and it was kind of cool because early on I was all about hey, I can sell advertisement on it. I'll tap into my lenders and all that kind of stuff. That was a real pain in the butt. B, it was like, I got to scrape off graphics and add somebody else's graphic. It was totally not worth it. And C, the thing is that I realized is that is like the truck is just one of the many avenues that we pursue with it, but that was the wrong direction, was to try to create that as a business source or a source of income. And as soon as we kind of wiped that out and just said, let's just call it the community vehicle and just make it available for anybody that needs to use it free of charge, put gas back into it, all that kind of stuff. Man, it's amazing the list of hundreds of organizations that have used it and how meaningful it has been to them. And it's expensive, right? Because you got to pay for insurance, you got to pay for the vehicle, you got to pay for maintenance, all that kind of stuff. But I think people just really, that was kind of the foundation of it. People, thought that was pretty clever and pretty unique for the marketplace. And B, it had a huge value for them in terms of furthering their organization. I mean, there's a local group called Second Helpings that goes around and picks up basically food that's leftover things before it goes bad. They can hand it out to the needy, etc. And if they ever had a truck that broke down, they'd call us and use our truck. It's like, wow, man, like think about what we're doing. Like that's amazing contribution to the community. And so that was at the kind of the forefront of what we were in terms of that cultural piece for our group. And it's just grown. It's just continued to grow in terms of things that we do today.
Yeah, I think that what's pretty interesting too is we see those things initially as expenses, but it's not just the ROI you're getting in your business. I mean, I know you a little bit to know where your heart is. The impact that has in the community and on the people that really need it is pretty amazing. Let's talk about some practical things you guys have done recently. One of the things I love is like when you're doing your Christmas drives where you're picking up toys. Can you talk about that? Because pretty interesting to me how you were able to do this in certain neighborhoods and things. Can you kind of give a background on that?
Yeah, that's really a very cool thing. So we got the idea. We basically do 2 annual drives, one for food right before Thanksgiving, one for toys right before Christmas. And we basically started in non-gated communities where they didn't have the restrictions. We didn't have to get past a guard, right? And so, and we started in neighborhoods where maybe we had one of our team members was a resident. And we would go to Sam's Club and we would buy, and we still do it. We buy these, opaque, oversized, sort of trash bags and big boxes, and we fold them up and we staple a flyer. And then what we would do is we'd go by foot and we would put the flyer on the outside of mailboxes, just go all the way down the street. And the flyer would say, obviously, like, hey, we're doing a food drive to benefit Deep Well. We're going to be coming through the neighborhood on Saturday between 10 and 12. If you're so inclined, you can put, the following list of food items in the collection bags, tie it up, put it right next to your mailbox, and then we'll come by and pick it up and take it over to Deep Well. And man, there's nothing more exciting for the team when everybody totally gets excited about volunteering on this. So everybody's got to get together and fold the bags and fold the flyers and staple them. That's one thing. Then somebody else has to go distribute them. And then you got the collection day. So you got ample opportunities for the whole process to go through. And we got 5, 6 people hanging out in the back of the truck, and I'm driving the truck, and we pull up to a mailbox and they've got a bag full of stuff. We honk the horn, and it just builds so much appreciation, I think, for the community and for the outreach. And then internally, it's a great team building, organization. And then it just kind of grew from there, and then we started knocking on doors of gated communities and just said, hey, we do this. We don't leave behind any trash. We think that residents are residents, right? Doesn't matter if they're behind a gate or not. Like, we think they'd rally behind this. And so we started going in that avenue. And then what was kind of neat about that is that it would help, they would be able to help spread the word, right? Because before it was just our flyer, but now they could do an email out to an e-news out to their local organization or their association. And so it's just kind of grown from there. And we do the same thing with the toys. Of course, that really touches your heart, and then we'd pull up to a corner and of course we have the same collection bags, Jimmy. But then, you pull up to somebody's house and they've got like 2 brand new kids' bikes. Wow. Along with the bag filled up, and everybody's just like, woo, everybody's cheering, excited, and wearing their Santa hats and stuff. And it just, you can't help but want to do that every year. It's just so much fun.
Yeah. And, like you said, it does so many different things. It gives you an opportunity to build, rapport and actually build some culture with your people, because you're working for everybody wants to be a part of something bigger than themselves. Yeah. And much less, I know this is not why you do it, but the ability to be there in front of seeing that, letting that community, which is probably a farm area for you, see you serving the community. I mean, there's not much better you can do there. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, that works, but I have to tell you that we, as I mentioned earlier, we're completely altruistic about it. Anytime that we've ever tried to lean in and be like, hey, remember when because clients come and use the truck, other organizations come and use the truck, they use it for a couple of days or whatever. And I used to be that guy who was like, hey, now lean in and give them a flyer and remind them we want their referrals and stuff. It always fell flat. Like, it just always fell flat. And so we stopped running into that wall. It's like, we don't even do it that way. And I think that's even cooler than getting direct business from it, because it's really just a deeper overlay. It's a branding thing, but it's more of it's deeper than branding, right? It's deeper than just marketing. It's like people acknowledge that we are giving back, that we don't, it doesn't matter if we get business. Like, we're absolutely not doing this for business. We just do it because it's in our hearts, it's in our culture, it's in our souls, it's what we want to do. And that, I think people really appreciate that kind of sentiment.
I completely agree. Listen, I love y'all's 200th home. Can you talk about the 200th home program for charity that you guys did? Because I think that's a tremendous idea as well.
Yeah, that was really cool, and I got that from that idea from my good buddy James Nellis up in the DC area,
Mhm.
and he was doing that, and I was like, man, we gotta lean in on that. So we did our 200th home sale, and basically we said we were going to give away. We put a minimum and a maximum of the commission dollars from our 200th closing, and we were going to give away, and so we basically opened it up in January to all local nonprofits, and we sent a letter out to them and said, hey guys, if you're a 501c3, you're in on this game. Like you know, if you just you nominate yourself or you get somebody to nominate you, we'll have a few months of nomination period. Then whatever the top, I think we got the top 3 nominees, and then within that, then we had a voting period. And so we had the top winning organization. They got a check for $9 grand. I think around August or so is when we hit our 200th home sale. And that was huge, right? It was this organization that does rescue for like rescue dogs, and they place them in homes, and they just don't have they're running the organization out of the backside of a used furniture warehouse, and so $9 grand was huge for them. And then we did a lottery for another organization. If for anybody who was nominated, we just drew one that got an extra $1,000, and so that was amazing. Like we had so much fun. And I tell you that had, like, for a lot of my team members and my agents in particular, when they recognized that didn't come out of their pocket. It wasn't like, oh, you're the 200th. Hey, guess what, Howard? You had the 200th home sale. I'm pulling your commission, and we're going to give you some of this. Like, no, obviously the company Collins Group Realty paid for that. And I think that layered with internally about like, wow, this is pretty cool about how the organization is structured. And yet everybody was excited about it. We'd hit our 150th home sale and be like, we're 50 away and we're at 180. And then we just kind of do this countdown, and it just had all that kind of good juice inside the organization. And so we are doing our second annual this year, and we're just launching that here at the start of January.
See, I think this is a perfect example. Also, when we first started talking, you were talking about the fact that, hey, it's been great creating these positions and drawing these people into the team. And it's one of those situations where I can only imagine, because of the way that you give to the community, the people you're drawing to be a part of your group has that same heart. It's like you don't have to go search for that. They're almost magnetically drawn towards you, which is pretty exciting to see what happens going forward. Also, can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean that's the real blessing of the organization, is we just have attracted and retained amazing talent, and when they realize that they've got the opportunity. I think about like my listings manager Megan Beck, who's been with us just over a year, and she changed locations. She moved down here, and her sister lives in the local community and is known as just an excellent professional. And when word came out that we were looking for this new hire, she applied, and she was new to the area. She really only knew her family, and she's just a rock star. And so we brought her on, and we're so glad that we did. And what turned out that she had some experience in writing grants and working with foundations and things like that. And so just by chance, right, we started having this thing where like, gosh, we do this toy drive, we do this food drive, we do this 200th home sale. Maybe we should start like a foundation. We should start some kind of fund and kind of put an umbrella over all of this, which we've just done. It's called the Collins Group Realty Community Results Project. Results is our Results is our nickname, our tagline. Anyway, and it turns out that is like right in Megan's wheelhouse, right? So she took charge of this, and she's run with it, and she's so excited to have that as an ancillary to her primary job, which is listings management. But she's got this great baby on the side that she just gets to see grow within the organization and see what it's going to do. So we're launching that here in January. So yeah, I think that helps keep her excited and kind of keeps her, keeps us sticky for her to hang around and be motivated. And she realizes that she's shaping who we are in the community, who we are as a company. And that's pretty cool stuff, right? That's not my brainchild, that's hers.
You know what's fun, Chip, really, I've always said this too, is that, and you're exactly what I'm talking about when I say this, purpose plus passion draws people. It does in your business, it does to the right people to be a part of your organization, it does to people that want to do business with you. It's one of those situations, and I know you well enough to know this. Somebody told me one time, they said, if your why doesn't make you cry, you probably ought to retry. And I know how strong your why is to the impact. And the other thing that we don't realize is the impact that it has, that it echoes. Those toy drives that kid gets, that it echoes for it just changes a mentality. Those times when people have been praying for the opportunity to have some extra food for Thanksgiving, and then all of a sudden, this shows up. I mean, those are the things that we don't talk about enough. We get so focused on selling the next house.
Yep.
When we don't realize that if we just focus on other people and serving them, the houses and the deals, that you can't get away from them.
Yeah, it's like what we call, you've seen those ads for eyeglasses. They're called transition glasses, right?
Yes.
So transition lenses, so we talk about wearing our transition lenses in our business, so that not just on the community outreach, but there's a similarity to it. So internally, we don't ever focus on the transaction. That's hard enough work, but it's the transition. What's the client up to? What's compelled them to buy or sell? Because it's always something bigger than just the transaction itself, right? And then we're, guys like you and me, we're blessed to have the opportunity to be involved in such an important transaction, but it's the transition. And as soon as you put those transition lenses on and your heart pours out and you really focus on what's going on in their life, that's like we started talking, man, we're just people, we're just people around other people, just trying to kind of balance it all out and not get too overworked and not take it all too seriously, et cetera. So I appreciate how you said that. That's for sure. That's the focus we got going on.
Listen, I know there's probably somebody watching this, obviously with us both being in coastal markets and kind of resort markets, that probably there's some cross-pollination here that could happen. If somebody's listening to this, Chip, and they have a referral to send up your way, how would be the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Oh, I'd love to talk to them directly, always, man. So yeah. This guy, the cell phone never leaves if you're a realtor, this guy never leaves your side, right? So my cell is 843-384-0671. And my email, chip@collinsgrouprealty.com. Those are the best ways to reach out to me. And then, I've got, as I mentioned, we've got a whole concierge department. My success manager onboards and handles all of our inbound and outboard referrals. And so we've got you covered for sure. If anybody, we can be of any assistance in any way to anybody, not just buying or selling, but if you got anybody visiting and they're looking for a place to stay, or you're coming here and you want a great place to go out to eat or whatever, just text me or call me. I'll be glad to get you connected.
I'll tell you this too, Chip. I would encourage people, because I've been doing it for a while now. I would go and check out your YouTube channel, check out your Facebook where your team is, check out some of the things that you guys are doing on social media, because in my opinion, I'll do it as well as anybody in the country of really just making an impact and sharing those stories in a way that just draws people to you. So Chip, I really appreciate it. Listen, guys, I know you got something out of this. Make sure you reach out to Chip and let him know how much you appreciate it. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, Jimmy.